Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Naomi's Scrappy Retreat. I am doing a memory quilt for a friend. It is a commission piece. I'm actually charging a little less because they are a friend. Anyhow, not that that's important, but I wanted to, I already started this, but I wanted to show you what I've been using and how I started my process. And so let's go ahead and get right into it because I've already come to the point where I've cut squares. I'm getting ready to do some interfacing. So I just wanted to show you quickly what I've done. My standard square is a 12-inch square. So do as I say, don't do as I did. I originally cut this out of a rice checks box at 12 inches and then realized I did not leave any room for the seam. So I want to do a 1/4 inch seam all the way around it. So you need a 1/2 inch extra. So all I did was I had some black masking tape, not masking tape, duct tape, and I added 1/2 inch to both sides. So that makes it a 12.5 inch square. So just remember, whenever you're doing something, you have to remember to keep your seam allowance because I messed up there. And you'll also see one of my pieces that I cut. I had issues because I started cutting, I had the right size, and then forgot that there was a part underneath, which I'll show you in a minute. And so I'm gonna have to do some creative working on that. Also, what you want to do is you want to, now a lot of her dad's shirts did not have anything on them, but there are some. So I looked at the ones that did. I actually pulled them off to the side, but I did not measure all of them first. So that was my second mistake. So always measure all of your messages or your pictures or whatever it is. I did see that a couple of the shirts had front and back, which is great because then I can use front and back. But so what I ended up having to do then is make a 14.5 inch square to do 4 of them. And so I'm now doing some creative quilting because I've already cut everything else out. So, but it's quite all right. I already know what I'm gonna do, but these are just some things for you to know so that it really isn't a hard process. I'm actually doing a t-shirt quilt with sashing. You can do it with or without sashing. There's multiple ways you can do it, but this is the way I'm doing it. So let's get into what I used. Again, this is a 12.5 inch square. All I did really was use my first one. I used it on my first and second so that I could get a good measurement. And then all I did was then I laid it out on here. I laid my other t-shirts over top of it, and between my long flat cutting mat and I love this thing, my easy rule, I was able to cut everything else out to the size I needed with I have 2 of these. I have a larger one and then a smaller one. Love these. They're by Fiskars. I've had this one forever, and honestly, it probably needs a new blade, but it's still cutting, so I can't afford a new blade right now, so I'm continuing on. And then anything that I needed to cut off, like what I ended up doing was cutting the side of the shirt and up. That way I could lay it flat and cut the nice square on top of it. So you also will need scissors as well. So give me a second while I get everything else ready for you. So I'm in my kitchen because there is really no space, as you know, I've said before, in my place. So my stove's here. And if you hear noise in the background, it is because I am making some lemon water for lemon water. The best way to make lemon water is to go ahead and boil. So cut in half or quarter. I always quarter mine, your lemons, and put them in the water. Bring them up to a full boil. I always boil it for like 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes is a good, because just squeezing the lemon juice from the lemon into your cup of water, you do not get all the nutrients of the stuff that's in the pulp. You don't get all the nutrients of the actual rind of the lemon. It's got some great nutrients, some great properties in it. So if you're looking for weight loss, or you're looking for some stomachies or different things like that, it's got multiple properties, including immune system and all of that. So just a little tip, along with this is if you like lemon water and you want lemon water and you're going to drink it on a daily basis, definitely first boil your lemons, because that's where you'll get the greatest nutrient properties from those lemons. So now that that's said and done, I went ahead, like I told you, and I cut everything out. So most of it, like I said, they have, it doesn't have anything on them. Now, what I did want to show you, like I said, is I made a mistake. So these were larger than they were supposed to. These were larger than the ones that I had measured. So this one I'm actually adding on, and I think it'll actually look really good. The one I really made the mistake on that I wanted to show you, because we all make mistakes, is this one. And if you notice, this cut line then would go straight across John 8:12. And I couldn't cut that out and add it up here, because then my seam allowance would still be off. So I'm going to have to get creative on fixing this. I think I already know how I'm going to do that. But so the rest of it then has the quarter seam allowance, top and bottom. So I just wanted you guys to be aware that these things do happen. So again, don't do as I do, do as I say. Make sure you measure all of your pieces beforehand, because if I would have measured, if I would have seen this and this one ahead of time and this one ahead of time, I have one more too somewhere. He's right around here somewhere. Oh, here it is. It's on the back. So if I would have seen these larger ones ahead of time, I would have definitely, I'm going to move that just a second. I would have definitely made all of the squares 14, because the size of the shirts could definitely have accommodated that. And you actually need 14.5, because I'm using 14-inch squares. So what you'll see later on is that you'll see how I put it together, and then I'll finish explaining some of that. So I just wanted you to know I've already cut everything out. I'm going to make it 4 across, 5 down, so there's going to be 20 squares, and then sashing in the middle, 2-inch, and then 4-inch on the outside edges. I also, because this is a memory quilt for the father, for the mother, it's the father's stuff, but it's going to be for the mother. I asked what she wanted, and we're going to do blue sashing, light blue sashing. And she wanted something. I said, I can do 2 things. And so she wanted something soft and cuddly. So I love the Minky. Minky's great to work with. There are multiple things I could have used, but I chose to go ahead and go with the Minky. For one, it has texture, and sometimes I find that soothing. If you're upset about something and you need to rub your hands over something. If you just want some comfort, sometimes it's nice to have that little bit of texture to go with it. But this stuff is super soft, makes great baby blankets, makes great elder care blankets, but it makes a great memory quilt. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this away. I will show you later how I'm going to cut this. What I want to go ahead and do first, though, so I bought for the back of the t-shirts. Now you don't have to, but I do like to do this. I bought interfacing. And so in a minute, I'm going to go ahead and lay pieces out. I'm going to go ahead and adhere them to the interface, and then I'll cut them out afterwards, so I don't have to pre-cut anything. I really don't want to have to pre-cut a lot. The difficulty is that this was my grandmother's. Hold on, I want you to see it. So just excuse my little house and what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my flip-flops, but look, I love this. Like, this is my grandmother's old ironing board. So it has seen lots of love, lots of attention, and I probably could refinish the top of it, but I just really don't want to. So that being said, it's not very wide. Sorry, I'm not sure why it's doing that. It's not very wide, and so anyhow, I'll have to figure that out. But what I wanted to tell you about the interfacing is, like I said, you can or you can't use. You don't have to use it. I do like to use it on t-shirts, but I want to tell you what I do. Instead of buying the quilt type interface, which is thicker, I actually buy the fabric. So for clothing interface, there are probably 6 different kinds of interface, just so you know. I actually buy the one for clothing because it is a lot thinner. I don't know, I just like the weight of this because it gives it the stiffness that I need when I'm sewing, because my sewing machine doesn't always like to sew on t-shirt material. And yeah, so if I don't know if you can tell this, but it's got a dotted side and then a non-dotted side. So make sure you read the instructions, because not all of the instructions are the same. So I need to find the English. Oh, that's Spanish, which I could read, but it'll take me a lot longer. So this actually tells you that you need to cover it with a damp cloth. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. So I actually have to take care of a couple things and then come back to this. So I'm going to test, because I really like to, I don't like to put extra steps in it just because I don't have the time. There's so much I need to get done today. But I wanted to show you, it tells you to put between silk and wool. And I actually put it in the middle one, the rayon, just because I don't have a silk wool combination. So I'm putting it in between the 2 spots. So with that being said, I'll be right back. Okay, so I am actually I turned up. If you're gonna do what the instructions say, you don't need to do this step, but I'm experimenting with this. So I actually turned mine all the way up to where the steam is, because I'm gonna try the steam first and we're gonna see together if it works or not. I haven't tried it, so I don't know. And it's been a long time since I've used interfacing. What I wanted to show you and just warn you about is that t-shirt material, which you already know, stretches. So when you put it down, make sure you're still at your measurements that you're supposed to be at, because otherwise that will affect when you go to sew. So all right, so I have one down. So when I went to, and you always want to make sure that you have it on the correct side. So this is the inside and this is the outside. You can see by the texture of the fabric. So you want to put the inside, the wrong side of the fabric, the wrong side of the t-shirt down. And I'm just putting it as close as I can so I'm not wasting any of that interface. When the lady went to cut it, we figured I needed probably 8 yards. Well, unfortunately, there were only 7 yards that came completely off. This is the remnant piece that was left on there that was already cut somehow. So see, as you can see, me laying it down, I've already gained 1/4 inch. So I don't want that. So I need to, and it happens because there's little dots and grippies on this. And so when you put it down, if you don't just put it straight down, if you smooth it, it will stretch out a little bit. And honestly, part of it could be because somehow I got bigger on my cutting, which, you know, has been known to happen. So I did somehow get bigger on my cutting. But what I also did, which I should have done first, yeah, actually I can see it. This is not perfectly square. I don't know if you can see it from your vantage point, but as you can see up here, so it's just over 12.5. And as you get down to here, it's actually almost 13. So it gains about 1/8 to 1/4 inch, about 1/8 inch going down. So I'll have to watch that. I am not going to fix that right now. It's something I can fix later and I'm fine with. Okay, so I'm back. I actually had to go ahead and trim this one down because I didn't have enough of this paper left. And so I wanted to be able to go ahead and use what I had and didn't want to have to piece together anything. And also when you add this on, be careful because like here I have stretched it still. So you do have to be careful. I would say probably press down first. And all I'm doing is I'm just using the steam setting. So again, it's working for me. I don't want to say go ahead and try this because it may not work for you, and then I don't want you upset with me. But as you can see, it is adhering by just using the steam setting instead of using the application of a wet cloth as they suggested. Now, what I can tell you is that if you get your iron on this white stuff, these white dots are adhesive and they will stick to your iron. So just be aware of that and be cautious because you do not want little glue dots all over your iron. And honestly, I haven't kept it on very long and it's adhered well. And as you can see, I don't know if you saw that, but I picked it up and slid it, and when I did that, it caused the fabric to stretch. So I'm not going to show you every single one, but I wanted to show you my starting of this, and I picked things that didn't have words because I want to be extra careful with those. And if I were talking to you right now and showing you how to do this, I would be probably a little too distracted. And so I want to make sure that those go well. So before I forget, I did want to let you know that when you have anything that has a decal on it, anything that has been printed on it, I would always cover it. So this is funny because this is old. This was also my grandmother's. It was called, she called it her pressing cloth. So I am... So just, you have to lay it down very carefully because otherwise you could cause wrinkling like I did. I pulled it up on the edge. So then you just want to get that back down. If you wanted to, you could press that. And actually I may do that just real quick. Press it down real quick just to get that to stop rolling up. Because what I probably did was, it was probably my fault. I probably did something and caused it to roll up and didn't realize it. You know how it is when you have t-shirt material, you pull on it a little bit. If you've cut it, then it rolls up. The good thing is if you cut it for something, like I've made boat neck t-shirts, and you can cut along the top and then just stretch it and you don't have to do any sewing. The coolest, easiest thing to do ever. So, so now all you want to do is just do the same thing. So what I would actually do here, because if you see what I just did, I just pulled it. I would spritz it, and I actually did this for the other ones. I ended up spritzing it because some of it was doing well with sticking, and then there were other parts that were not doing well, and I'm not sure why. But this will just, again, set it down, let it go for a second, set it down, let it go for a second, and just keep doing that. And you can move it a little bit, but make sure you don't go back and forth, because what I ended up doing on a couple of them, because I was impatient, so I recommend to not get impatient, but what I ended up doing was causing wrinkling in it. But I was able to, I had noticed it early enough, I was able to pull it off a little bit and resituate it so that the wrinkling left it. Now I just want to show it to you before, and I had extra on the edge. So that's what, voila, see what, look what I did. Sometimes my cutting skills leave something to be desired, but it's okay, it'll all work out. So anyhow, that part of it's done, so I'm not going to show you any more because I have more to do. And then next time I bring you back, it'll be to start adding sashes. So one of the things I did was, he had two shirts that have pockets on them. So I went ahead and cut out where the pockets were, as far as using that too as part of the decoration. I wanted to show you, in case you're wondering if it's actually working and actually sticking the interface, you can look at the back. So if you look here closely, there's only a little bit of like little dots you can see. For the most part, it's all gone. But as you can see right here, look at all these dots. That means it's not adhering enough. That's the adhesive. The dots are the adhesive. So all I'm going to do then is, because I flipped it over, I'm just going to now run my iron over the back of it. And just a couple little times and presses down. And again, I still have it on the steam setting, which hopefully is not steaming up the camera. But see, Now all the little dots are gone, which means it has adhered. So that's one thing you want to do is you want to flip over and just make sure there's no dots. If there are, go ahead and use that side, this side, the white side of the interface, and make sure that all those dots disappear so that way you know you have a good adhesion. Okay guys, so I have laid everything out, all of the squares that I have the 4 largest squares, the 14-inch ones on the outside edge. Now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start placing the sashing pieces in between the pieces that I need. Now, because of how some of these are cut, I've had to be creative with my sashing. So give me a second and I'll show you what that means. Okay, so I guess you can see I've kind of placed the sashing where it needs to go right now. I also had to make myself some more coffee because, well, I was needing something to keep me awake. So it's actually half and half because I really shouldn't have all that caffeine. But what I want to show you, let me put my coffee down so I don't drop it. Because these are 14-inch pieces, sorry that this is now getting flipped. There's a 14-inch square here, and these are 12. Well, 14.5 and 12.5. So in between it, I have the 2.5-inch sashing, which is going to become 2 inches. So what I'll end up doing first is I will sew these two together. These two together with the sashing in the middle. Then I'll come along and put this sashing up above it. And then what that will do is it will allow, and I'm going to flip the video one more time, sorry. What it will allow me to do is have my 14 inches that I need in order to meet this this size of this this block that I have, the square. And then all I have to do then, sorry, one more time in flipping, and then that'll be it. And then I'll just sew this row here together. Then I'll attach this row to this row and then work my way up. And that's it. So what I'm going to do now to make it easier for myself is I'm going to pin all the sashings and all the squares together so that I know where everything goes, because everything is exactly where I want it right now. So in order for me to keep that, I always pin it. Some people lay it on top. I have laid it on top before, but something happened in my, either it toppled over or one time when I had a dog, he came along and brushed it aside. I don't remember. So now I pin it. I always pin everything. So once I get to at least the halfway point so you guys can start seeing it come together, I will show you. Because right now what I do not have is I do not have this sash yet that goes across. It is cut, but unfortunately I don't have the right width that I need. So I'm going to actually have to probably do 2 or 3 sections to make it look good in order for it to all fit together. So I still haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet. So stay tuned and you'll see that in the next portion. Okay, so I wanted to show you where I was so far. So remember I said I had the 14-inch squares because I didn't measure correctly. It wasn't because of that one. It was because of this one and another one that's going to be in the opposite corner. So what I did was it's still all worked out because as you can tell, I just added a sashing right there. I don't know yet if I'm going to do a decorative stitch on this. I haven't decided. Probably not because I'm going to use Minky dots on the back. But we'll see. I think it's fine. I actually like the look of it. So I'm hoping she likes the look of it too. So anyhow, that's as far as I've got right now. My sewing machine quit on me. So that's both of my sewing machines that have quit on me. So of course it's a commission piece. So of course it would quit. So I am actually borrowing a friend's sewing machine. So let's hope and pray that it works. So anyhow, so I was just trying to show you how far I've gotten and just to kind of show you what I've done. And as you can see, things stretch. Like I said, with the t-shirt material, it does stretch. You can do this without the interfacing, but the interfacing for me just makes it so that way, yes, it is another step. Yes, you do have to buy interfacing, but it does make it so that way it's just easier to work with. So that's just what I do. My sewing machines are stubborn. If you have a better sewing machine, a nicer sewing machine, you could probably get away without using interfacing, but this is what I do. And the type of interfacing I use is pretty thin. So as you can see, it still has a t-shirt look to it. It's still really pliable, very soft. So again, that is what it is. So that's it for now, and I will show you more when I get more done later. So I really like how this turned out. It's actually now all done. I know I have a mess everywhere, so excuse the mess, but I have a 4-inch side on it. So like I was saying, it's got the 4-inch edges and then it's got 2-inch sashing. So I had the 14-inch square, which, as I said earlier, I had made a mistake because those were 12, and then realized that these were bigger. So I have 4 that were bigger, but it worked out perfect because I actually love the look. I love how that just meets all up, the 4 in the corner, because that's all I had was the 4. Then my other mistake that I had, the other issue I had, was this one right here, where I hadn't calculated enough for the John 8:12. I started cutting and then got to here and was like, oh wait. But it worked out because I still put this down, and then all I did was I used a decorative stitch around this just to keep it down. So I actually pulled the t-shirt material out and over the sashing. I actually like how it looks. I think it kind of adds interest to that. So I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So now all I have to do is I have to add the Minky background, and then I will show you in the end. But it's always fun to add, like, you know, t-shirts with pockets and different things like that, because, like, you know, they're gonna remember those things. They're gonna remember if if there was a pencil in it or a pen in it or anything like that. So I'm just really excited about how this turned out. Again, I don't think I'm putting batting in it. I haven't decided that completely. Batting is on sale if I decide to do that. I don't know. The problem with putting batting in it is then she won't be able to really cuddle up with it in cool or warmer months. So I'm kind of still out on the fence right now. I have Minky material for the back, so what I may do is cut the Minky material out and then decide how that feels and go from there. So I told her if I was putting batting in it that it would be an extra charge, but because I know the family, if I decide to do that, I guess I'm not going to charge them. I've already given them a very low price for this quilt anyhow. So that's it for now. I will get back to you when I have more to show you. It is all together. I'm so excited. So all I did was I ended up using batting. I put the 4 together and then I flipped them. The edges is actually I flipped it and then flipped it out and then just ran a 1/2-inch seam all the way around just to tie it together. And as you can see it on the back of the Minky, and then I just tied it. I tied it like every 6, 8 inches, whatever it was. That took forever, but I love it. So here's the complete back of it, and just another closer picture of what the back looks like. And then some pictures of what the Minky and what the front looks like with it tied and with the edging and all of that. So if you have any questions, please let me know down below. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you like, share this, give it a thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed, please hit the notification bell. And I hope to see you again real soon. Thanks again for joining. Have a great day. Be a blessing to someone else.